What's up, gamers? Welcome back. Force here with some more StarCraft 2 commentary. Today it is going to be a game between Tarson and HyuN. This is going to be a Terran versus Zerg matchup. Once again, that is Tarson versus HyuN, and we are here on the map Antigua Shipyard. And as always, we will begin with some player information. Let's start here in the upper left-hand spawn position with our blue Zerg player, TSL HyuN. HyuN took first place at the Antec attack number 26. This was on January 25th of this year. And then about 2 weeks later, on August 6th, which was just a few days ago, HyuN took first place again. And this time it was at the Go4 SC2 2012 event. His opponent over here in the lower right-hand spawn position is our red Terran player, Millennium Tarson. Tarson took third place at the ESL Pro Series Poland Season 3 in January of this year. Also in January, took second place at the Spirit LAN number 9. And there you go, guys, some player information to start off the game. More than happy to provide that for you as always. Unfortunately there for Tarson, as you noticed, his two most recent major tournament placements back in January of this year. It's been quite a while since he's had a solid performance in a major event, and hopefully for his sake, well, he gets something else. You know, I wish nothing but the best to all these guys that I do commentaries on the regular, and Tarson seems to pop up in a lot of the games that I commentate. I'm a fan of his play. I just think he's fun to watch and commentate. I don't need to qualify that other than to say I enjoy watching it. It's really all there is to say. That's why I do anything, to be honest, because I enjoy it. Otherwise, what the hell's the point? Alright, let's hop into the game here. HyuN did decide to go hatch first, as you can notice over here. It actually looks like we'll be seeing a quick expansion here as well from Tarson, coming out command center first before his first barracks. Now, HyuN moving out with that drone scout. We'll be spotting that, walking right by that expansion there. So now he knows, of course, what he's up against. There's no early racks, and we'll have to see how HyuN decides to respond to that. Tarson now just coming out with his barracks will obviously not have any Marines or Hellions on for a little while now. Much more delayed than if he decides to go racks first. And we do have a refinery actually getting placed down here from Tarson as well. So Tarson following up that barracks with a factory almost immediately after. It's going to be a little bit delayed because that refinery isn't quite up early enough to go factory right after that barracks finishes, but it is going to be pretty close. And moving out with those Hellions early on, which is what we expect to see from Tarson with getting that factory so early here, will mean that he's going to have some pretty solid map control. And especially since, as you can see back over here, we did see a quick third from HyuN in response to the quick expansion from Tarson. So HyuN says, hey, you know what, you're feeling greedy, I'm going to be greedy as well. And we'll have to see how well HyuN can defend that, because this is dangerous. Even though Tarson did decide to go command center first, taking a quick third is still dangerous. Now Tarson moving out with his SCV scout is actually going to be moving right up into the third position, so now he knows that HyuN did decide to get that quick third hatchery there. Now this is of course going to result in a delayed metabolic boost for those Zerglings, and that's going to make it that much easier for Tarson to take map control. Now we can see that factory is now just building. We do have one Marine in production. Does he have one in play already? Yes, he does. He's going to sit him with two Marines early on. Lifting up that barracks, landing it down, we should be seeing a attachment in the form of a reactor. And there it is, Tarson coming out with that reactor attachment, which will allow for the hot swap with the factory, which will mean double Hellions. And of course, that means map control going to Tarson. Tarson now coming out with another refinery as well, continuing to plan to stick to this Vespian action here. We'll be interested to see what he decides to do. We're going to see a quick starport or some quick teching. Blue Flame Hellions or what? I don't know. Let's see what he decides to do. SCV is moving up. Is that going to be for the starport? Yes, it is. The starport coming out here for Tarson. Tarson with that 111. What was that stupid ass name that they had for that thing? Something about fisting clouds. Weird as hell. I don't know who comes up with this crap. HyuN moving in with an Overlord scout. Now is able to scout that building starport right now, so now he knows that we are seeing that 111 build from Tarson. Those first few Hellions in production now out of that reactor, and with that again he will be getting map control now. We've got one Zergling at the tower there, and actually a Zergling scouting up here. This is pretty good. It's going to let him see when Tarson takes this expansion. Also got that Overlord scouting here, but also let him see units pushing across in that direction. Now he does happen to miss those two Hellions that just went by, but he'll spot them right now as they grab the tower and take out his Zergling. At least he knows that they're on the board, and he knows to be aware of that, is all. Marine with one kill. Must have been that Overlord that was sneaking in over here. Let's take a look at the resources lost. Lost 125 so far. Now we do have those hellions moving out, and let's see what he plans to do with that. In the meantime, missed it, but look at this. We're going to see some Cloak Banshee play here from Tarson. He's got a Banshee in production at the moment, as well as that Cloak research coming through. That has just started. It's going to be quite a while until that finishes. Cloak research seems to take eons. It's not that bad, but takes quite a while for that Cloak to finish. So this first Banshee won't be able to utilize that unless Tarson holds off on engaging with them. Can still do some damage, though. We've got these hellions now moving forward. Looks like he just lost one, as HyuN was evidently able to take that out. Not sure if that was with a Zergling. Oh, look at that. Zergling there with one kill. Must have been that hellion right there. So there you have it. Down to those 3 hellions, 2 more moving across the map, and the Banshee now joins the fun. Again, you can see that Cloak research not quite finished, but still Tarson does have an opportunity to do some damage here. And apparently Tarson's going to try to punish HyuN for taking that quick third, but is he going to be able to do so? Metabolic boost is finished now for those Zerglings, effectively turning them into speedlings, allowing them to catch up and get a surround on the hellions. But once those hellion numbers get large, it becomes very difficult for those Zerglings to do that, especially if the Terran player is paying enough attention to micro those hellions back. Can certainly become a major headache. Cloak research is finished. We're going to see Tarson place that down. We do have a Spore Crawler over here, and once Tarson gets close enough, those Queens will be able to detect and engage that. Again, those hellion numbers very strong now. Going to be difficult for those Zerglings to engage here. Queens moving down. We got another hellion moving across the map. Another couple hellions, as well as that Banshee moving across the map, and Tarson again continues to play the aggressive role here. He's got another command center as he prepares to take a third as well. Zergling's trying to get us around, but those hellion numbers so large, able to take out most of them before they even get within range there. Able to whittle down a few of those hellions, but not enough damage to take them out, and Tarson is going to do a lot of damage here. Killing off more and more Zerglings, and it's just a moment of time until he moves into that drone line. Also, those cloaked Banshees doing what they can. That one gets very near taken out, as it was within detection range of that Spore. But look at these hellions continuing to roast here, taking out more Zerglings, and now the drone count dropping for HyuN. 8 workers killed, but look at that, 78 units killed for Tarson. That is a lot as opposed to the only 10 from HyuN. Let's take a look at the resources lost. HyuN quite a bit behind. 2,725 resources lost for HyuN as opposed to just the 1,000 lost for Tarson. So Tarson, early aggression, doing some damage there. Now we do have that third coming down here for Tarson as he's transferring that orbital command. You can notice his energy has dropped, likely just placed down a mule right over here. And we're going to be seeing a transition into mech play here for Tarson, as he's got 3 factories now churning out Thors and Hellions, also coming out with those 1-1 upgrades for his vehicles. So will be some mech play from Tarson, supplemented with those Banshees. And speaking of Banshees, where do those 2 go? There they are, moved back for some repair action. SCVs getting some repairs before Tarson decides to move back out again. He's got 4 Hellions at the center of the map. No blue flame yet, I don't believe. Yeah, no blue flame yet at all. Hasn't gotten the blue flame or siege tech or the strike cannons either. So none of that mech upgrade yet from the tech lab here. But at the very least, we should expect those blue flames. It's sort of the most logical thing for him to do. HyuN does appear to have gotten a full scout there. You can see that Overseer just chilling out over in that position. He has scouted all 3 factories. So at least now, HyuN is aware that it is going to be heavy mech. Again, tipped off by the fact that there was a heavy Hellion, a Banshee push early on. But transitions are always possible, so obviously wise for any Zerg player to scout and get that follow-up. The easiest way to do so will, of course, be that Overseer. Such an effective scouting tool. Lots of Banelings in production right now. We also got a bunch of Mutas out, and he's going to make the push right now towards Tarson's slow mech army. His Thors in the center of the map, very vulnerable. There are the Mutas, magic boxing. Banelings now moving forward. Lots of damage on the Thors, and both Thors down and with no anti-air. Those Mutas able to do a lot of damage. Now he needs that Overseer to get within range so that he can actually see those Banshees to do damage to them. And the Muta's going to continue to push forward, walking into some Thors though. That was a mistake. It's going to take a bit of damage. Lost a couple of Mutas there. Almost lost that last one, but able to sneak back just in time. So mech play here from Tarson in this matchup. Very slow slow-moving army because you do, of course, want to keep pace with your Thors. Obviously, the Hellions are quick, and Tarson does have the option of using those Hellions to do drive-bys at expansions to try to do some economic damage. HyuN makes a transition now into Roaches. We got Roach bailing in the center of the map at the moment. We do have some SCVs moving out, obviously just for scouting purposes. Where's he going, though? Couple of changelings in the form of Marines now moving out, and this SCV is scouting for expansions. He's got one chilling out over here. He's going to be moving up over here to check this as well. So with his slow mech army, he needs eyes and needs to know exactly what's going on where. Doesn't want to spread himself thin, obviously, and allow for a Hellion drive-by. Surprised that he didn't send Hellions out to do this. Actually coming down with a missile turret, it's kind of funny. Here comes a big push right now from HyuN. Moving forward with his Roaches and Banelings. Just absolutely decimating that front Hellion line. Roach is now able to get right up under those Thors, and that's when it becomes really dangerous for the Terran player. Once those Roaches get into range, they can take out those Thors pretty quickly. We got some mass repairs coming on, but not quick enough yet. Continuing to take a lot of damage. At the same time, quite clearly, HyuN is losing his forces as well. But man, he has really thinned up that mech army. Let's take a quick look at now the resources lost yet again. HyuN is still behind. 9,800 resources lost to the 6,500 resources lost. So HyuN continuing to take a significant economic hit in these past few engagements. That one was no different. But that's not necessarily the worst thing, and I'm going to tell you why. At least I'm going to tell you why I think that wasn't the worst thing for HyuN to do. The scariest position in this matchup for the Zerg player is when that Terran player gets the max 200 army, mech army rolling. And so if you can throw some of your units at your opponent's forces and try to delay that as long as possible, and allowing HyuN to buy himself time to get upgrades and continue to macro up, I think that might have been a really good move because, you know, Tarson would be that much closer to max supply right now had that engagement that we just saw not happened. And I think we might see it again as HyuN is moving forward. First, though, he's got eyes right now on the third, and I don't know that Tarson sees this. We get some queens moving down there. Those rocks are a goner. And HyuN now making his move, pushing forward. Just getting right up in the mix of things, as you can see, walking right through all those Hellions, and he tries to get nice and close to those tanks and Thors. 3 tanks on the high ground, laying waste, though. All these Roaches down here are still just enough. Might have enough to take out that last Thor. It's going to be very close. Not able to get it. Thor does manage to sneak away. Queens continue to try to do some damage there. Where's he getting that vision from? I didn't see an Overseer, not quite sure. Roaches now moving up into the third. He's going to try to do some economic damage here. And more Roaches actually still streaming across the map as he tries to push towards this. Lots of Roaches streaming across the map. We got a scan here, spawn the expansion. And here come those Hellion drive-bys. I alluded to those earlier. This is a very strong tactic as mech. Remember, the mech army is so slow, but those Hellions can be used for doing things like this to do crazy amounts of economic damage. And that's what we're seeing there. HyuN wasn't really able to do too much damage over here. Actually, no, never mind. Kill off 25 workers. A lot of those may have been from the engagement when SCVs pulled down, though, so not quite sure. But back over here, we can see Tarson did retaliate, killing off quite a few workers of his own with that small little blue flame Hellion drive-by, and expect to see lots of these as the game progresses here. Tarson now moving to the center of the map, and it's just so hard to deal with this. You basically got to go mass spine around all your expansions because otherwise, what are you going to do? Look at all those overlords moving across the map. Oh boy, that's a riot. Tons of overlords in the center of the map now. More Hellion drive-bys as Tarson continues to try to work down the drone count of HyuN. Now killing off 37, 38 workers. Keeps climbing. Keeps on climbing. Up to now 42 worker kills for Tarson. And again, I expect Tarson to just keep doing that. There's really not much of a reason not to. It's so effective. You throw, 300, 400 resources worth of Hellions at an expansion, kill off a ton of workers, and really sets that Zerg player behind. Now we do have HyuN sitting in the center of the map with a lot of Roaches and a ton of Overlords, and he's going to be loading those Roaches up into the Overlords. He's got the speed and the transportation upgrade, and here it comes, Doom Drop now for HyuN. Oh boy, this is interesting. Overlords making their way across the map right now. We got another Hellion run by moving to the center of the map, and without any spines, he's going to be taking a lot of damage here, so this has got to do some work. HyuN has got to do some damage here if he's going to contend with the amount of economic loss he's taking in the center of the map there. Roaches dropping on that tank line up on the high ground. Now spreading creep, allowing those roaches to move a bit faster. He's got a few queens in the mix, and he's going to be trying to take out these attachments here. It should be pretty big. A couple of Thors moving up to try to engage with that. Hellions continuing to go on their spree there, killing all the drones in the middle, and now moving up in that third, killing all the drones there as well. HyuN not responding to that might have been a huge mistake. He is doing some damage. He's got some roaches also moving up here, which could do some economic damage as well. Finally dealing with these Hellions, both the Hellions very low. He needs to take those out before they continue to do economic damage. All of the roaches in the main have been taken care of. Still have these roaches over here also doing some damage as well. And the Hellions still continuing to kill off workers. He could engage with some drones right now and kill that. That's absolutely hilarious. Roaches at Tarson's third, killing off a bunch of SCVs of his own. A bunch of those overlords pulling back. And HyuN finally forced to retreat. Tarson still has a strong army though. Let's take a look at the resources lost after that engagement. HyuN really far behind, and look at that, 73 workers killed, although HyuN has killed off 66, so my concern though is that he's, yeah, look at that, about 10,000 resources behind right now is where HyuN's sitting. That's quite frightening, to be perfectly honest with you. And Tarson now moving out with a very strong army. He's got a few Hellions, those tanks, bunch of Banshees, and the 2 Thors. And the biggest thing too is he's at those 3-3 upgrades. Look at that. 3-3 upgrades for Tarson. That is going to hurt and be very hard for HyuN to work through, because I do not believe his upgrades are anywhere near that. He's at 2-2 right now. Can't quite contend with that. Let's take a look at the economy right now. That's another thing to keep in mind. I'm not quite sure that HyuN has much of an economy at all. Yeah, look at that in comparison. Tarson having a significant advantage right now in terms of those resources that he's gathering. And HyuN's about to lose that center expansion, and there it is. Bye-bye. Does he have any counter response at all? He's got 1 roach moving over here. I don't know that that's enough, as we've got Tarson making his death march across the map, scanning forward to take out some of these tumors and see what he's up against. And really, he's up against not much. We got a few, well, there's a fair amount. There is a fair amount. 16 mutas moving forward and magic boxing over the Thors, and now Tarson's in trouble because he doesn't have much anti-air. Now he's got a crap ton of tanks, and he has got those Hellions and Banshees, but he can't deal with these mutas right now. So if those mutas just continue to engage, he of course can take out everything that Tarson has here, but can he do it quick enough, as we've got those tanks about to lay waste to this third. That third is gone, and now moving up here to the natural. But again, he doesn't have anything for these mutas. The mutas are going to continue to pick off these tanks one at a time, and as long as he can kill all of this before he loses everything else, I don't know, HyuN might have it. HyuN defends his natural, loses a Baneling nest in the process, but again, we don't have much anti-air at all from Tarson. Tarson now with 2 Vikings. He does have 4 Thors, so if he can be careful with those Thors, he might be all set. We got an attempted expansion over here. That's going to get pushed back. Now, Muta's clumping up. Oh, just lost a few of those Mutas. That's kind of scary, to be honest with you. And HyuN decides to call the GG. He was getting harassed over here by this Banshee with just 2 kills for now. And, you know, he did, unfortunately, didn't quite... I thought for a moment that Tarson did not have a response at all for the air, but as we saw back at home, was sitting with a few Thors, and he had another Thor in production as well, and as a result, actually managed to secure the victory. The other thing, too, is that we did have Tarson with a actual economy going at this point, whereas there was pretty much no mining going on for HyuN. HyuN, with his resources pretty low, after he spent this few bit that he has left, that would have been it. He had pretty much nothing else going for him, and he didn't have another base either. That's the thing. He didn't have another base with which to start mining, and we were about to see Tarson take this middle, so pretty much makes sense for HyuN to call the GG right there. Alright gamers, that does it here in this game between Tarson and HyuN. Hopefully you did enjoy it. It was a pretty exciting TVZ to watch them. Pretty awesome mech play here from Tarson. HyuN unfortunately not able to deal with those hellion drive-bys. During this time right here, when we saw this drop from HyuN, he was also getting hit with a few hellions that absolutely decimated his economy. And I think him not responding to that soon enough really caused him to lose the game. He was obviously focused on this engagement over here, rather than focusing on the hellions that were destroying his drones, but still, had he dealt a little bit better with those hellions that he was getting hit with, it might have been a different game. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe. Keep watching and keep owning.